Running, huh? Is that a hint? Start early? Just checking. We're down to the seconds. 40, 39, 38.
You're just all earlier.
Yeah. Okay, everyone, we are 8:30 on the dot. I will call this meeting to order, DeKalb County Commissioners. The date is August 29th, 2022. Good morning, Dottie.
Good morning. Hey, I'd like to start off with a request from our presumptive coroner. There will be some shuffling around and when she comes on board, but even before we've lost one of the deputy coroners, and so between the current coroner and the presumptive one, they've been talking, and one of our current employees who works in one of our law enforcement departments is interested in being a deputy coroner. Now, as you know, the deputy coroners are paid, I say by incident, or, I hate to say by body, but that's, that way. And they're paid once a year. So they're not paid hourly. This employee that we're speaking about specifically is paid hourly. Now, in our employee handbook, we have a spot where employees who work in one department cannot work in another department because, especially if you're talking overtime. That's the big thing. Or if you have a part-time employee who works part-time in another department, it would turn into a full-time position, and that would mean that we would be offering benefits. But this person, we also have in the handbook, if the employee, is an hourly employee, but the other position is a flat fee. Or if they serve on a board, and boards get, a stipend for doing that. But anything has to be approved by the county commissioners. I have the 2 thumbs up from both Mike Gerber, the current coroner, and Jenny Short, the presumptive coroner, and they would really like, they'd like to hear from you on this topic. There might be other law enforcement employees who might be interested in being a deputy coroner. It would be off hours for them, not during their regular hours, of course. And for them, it could be, anything, because since they have those departments work pretty much 24/7, of course. And this particular employee has already spoken to her supervisor, as the department requires, and we require it in the employee handbook that if you, as an employee, are going to get a part-time job off hours, that you really need to run it past your supervisor. And she has already done that, and the supervisor has said, well, I'm not going to rule on it yet until we get an answer from the commissioners. So didn't want to just make a decision, sure, we can do that, and then you guys say, no. So anyway, that's open for discussion today.
Thoughts?
I don't have a problem with it since it's a fee-based per service. It doesn't put us on overtime. My question is, how many deputies would you want to name, though, going forward?
Hey, Susan, do you have any idea how many deputy coroners we have? See, part of my problem...
4.
Are there 4? Okay.
Okay.
So-
Because I was thinking, right, exactly, transport people, yeah. Right. Or the, yeah,
How do transporters get paid?
same way.
Same way per incident?
Yep, at the end of the year, one lump sum.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm good with it. I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
fine.
Makes sense.
That whole idea of restricting people from being efficient and useful is bad policy.
And it's going to cut some costs and make things easier for Dottie or whoever else rather than go out and trying to hire somebody. So,
That is true. I mean,
The hard part.
Yeah,
yeah,
Because we have
Yeah.
to go by what,
right.
yeah,
but this,
right, right.
I'm making a motion.
I'll move to approve
Second.
A motion and a second. Are there any other additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries.
awesome.
You're all
I
set,
will,
Dottie.
I will get back to all the affected parties and we'll work on that. Yeah. So I think we've already done a lot of the legwork, so we can go forward. Another thing, don't forget to pick up your parking passes from the security downstairs. And one thing that is being discussed is whether or not these should be full-time, all year round, rather than just this time of year. I'll tell you, when I came on board with, the properties that we currently have for parking lots, I was surprised that we didn't have something. Hospitals and some companies have. Where I came from, we didn't. We had kind of a small parking lot. But, yeah, I was surprised that we didn't to identify it. So, of course, that would be something for the presumptive new sheriff to ring in on, I'm sure, with you guys. And so,
I mean, it makes sense. How do you know if someone is a county employee if they don't have a tag in the window? So
Right.
it makes sense to me to issue it year-round.
yeah. Well, and we figured, as I was talking to a couple other people, it's like our ID badges. We can work it out so that everybody gets their ID badge and a parking tag about the same time during onboarding, around that time. And then when they separate employment, we always ask for their ID badge back. We can certainly ask for the parking tag back. So I think we can work that out. And then if somebody, as has happened in the past where things are not turned in, well, then you deactivate whatever. So I think we could work that out. Once again, I think we've worked out some of the logistics, and it'll be a matter of something to consider as we go forward with presumptive sheriff.
A little reminder, when you get your parking badge, pass, or whatever it is, you need that VIN number from the vehicle that it's going to be posted in.
License plate.
License plate.
Plate.
Yeah,
Just
not the
license,
VIN,
okay.
just the license plate. Yep.
I did get a confirmation from the city.
Speaking of parking,
That will be able to use that parking. Anybody that parks in the overflow area will need the badge though,
Badge.
because that'll get them in to park for free.
the fair,
Which
okay.
overflow is that, Mike?
Anything that, if there's no room in our lots, they can park at the fair parking.
At the fair park, yeah, okay.
For
Fair,
free
Yeah,
during the day.
okay,
You need that
With
badge.
the badge,
yeah. That's
Okay.
good.
All right. Yeah, because we shouldn't have a problem in the afternoon, evenings, considering how many employees we have who work at the jail. That's
Right.
really the only 24/7 group that we have downtown. So that should work out just fine. Yeah. And I did hear from the farmers market on Saturday that the sheriff did help us take care of employees parking in the lot where you had approved the farmer's market to happen. And so there were only 2 cars left there. And I'm suspecting that that they weren't county employees because of the fogged up windows, and it had been, yeah. So I'm thinking maybe it wasn't. So they were empty,
that is
but who
suspicious.
knows, I,
Let's say about you.
yeah. So
thought about it, but I wasn't gonna say
anyway, so you did get a thank you from one of the organizers of the farmers market to take care of that. So that was good. We took care of that. We had a request for the survey results, and I just wanted to make sure that that was we need you guys to approve that, and Carolyn or the IT department has the original that can be sent out, if you guys approve that to go out.
Got a copy of it and it'll go out.
Okay, great,
But
good.
I talked to the person,
Okay,
not having gone out last.
okay,
Only problem I have with it is I can identify quite a few people out of that just by reading it. It kind of puts some people, I think, at risk unnecessarily, but if they want the data, they can have it, but I think that's hurting morale instead of helping it.
I think we should be cautious read it carefully and make sure you redact anything that can be tied back to anybody.
Name or an address or anything.
Well,
Well, they even
or that's
say-
readily identifiable.
If someone says, I work in this department and I do this duty and I work this shift, it's pretty easy to go, oh, that person.
Yeah.
So,
I don't want any chances for repercussions or
I feel as though
problems.
we said we were gonna protect their identity and now we're just
We need to do.
throwing
make
it
sure-
out there,
No,
so.
we need to make sure we do.
just causing more animosity between departments.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. When it comes to hiring, the sheriff's department, the one confinement officer that was in the pipeline, that one didn't pan out, so I don't know where they're at. And Central is doing sit-alongs this week with the 4 candidates that they have. And so that's always a good thing. There's a residential facilitator who will start on August the 31st out at Community Corrections. And there are interviews going to happen for the Director of Intervention Services. So we're going forward on that one. The Highway Department, Ben has at least one opening, but he's had it for a while. And, the summertime gets pretty busy, so he put it off. And last week asked me he and Mark finally have some time that they can go ahead and do some interviews. However, we've had no responses to our posting. So anyway, if you know any CDL drivers who are tired of being on the road and would like to have some really good benefits that they won't have otherwise, have them go down to the highway department and fill out an application. So Ben and I are going to talk this week to see if maybe we need to spend some money on maybe a newspaper ad, although the last time we did that, we didn't get a lot of response on that one either. So, yeah, we'll just try to think creatively and keep working at that. Let's see, and then on the other side of hiring, we have people who are currently employees who are coming up on some review time. And I love it when department heads contact me about a form for them to do a review, a performance review, an appraisal. And so the surveyor's part-time employee will be being reviewed very soon. She's coming up on her 90 days. And Lindsay in HR is also coming up on her 90-day review. So if you've had any interaction with her, I would certainly appreciate some feedback. I'll be asking a few other people that I know have had interactions, and we like to, and it's also a growing time. It's not just, okay, you did this wrong, and you like to, you did this right. It's all a growing experience. So we'll be working on that. And then, looking at one of the ideas that was brought to commissioners last week about being self-insured. Of course, insurance trustees got back to me, and they are very happy to help with that. And we will be talking with the broker who handles DeKalb Central to get some more ideas, since that is a very successful program there. And so that'll be in a couple weeks. We'll be talking to him. So when we get more information, we'll pass that along to you. Then I forwarded to you something that will be presented to the safety committee. I thought it would be really nice if you guys had a little bit more history on our claims, and also the different categories and of what happens, why the incidents that we have. So pass that along to you, and also the narratives that came along. I mean, numbers are fine, but narratives too. And IPEP has, as you can tell, we've had from our law enforcement departments, that's where the majority of our claims come from. It comes with the territory. And IPEP has a specialist, IPEP as the work comp carrier, and the presumptive sheriff, and I have talked about that, and he would be very happy to have that person come in and take a look at their procedures, their protocols, to see if there's anything. I think so far we've done pretty well with trying to keep our officers safe, and some of it is just outside. It's not their behavior, it's the inmate's behavior, or it's a dog's behavior, something like that. So, it's always good. We're always going to try to improve. And since that is an area that really, has the most risk, we're going to take a look at that to see if we can take care of some of those things. So if you have any questions, concerns about any of those numbers, any of those narratives, as I said, we will be discussing it at the Safety Committee next month. And you, of course, were invited to the Safety Committee meeting. So there's that. Probably the last thing, second to last thing, Jason Meek had a question about the job description that he had just recently created, and one of the language was that the person was basically on call 24/7. Emergencies do not happen 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, and so because of that concern, I am going to reach out to, and I know Jason is too, to look at other job descriptions for other counties and taking a look at maybe the State Homeland Security Office to see if that language is in there and why it's in there and if, to retain it. So that's another project that I'm working on.
Well, and the problem with that is the original language says Monday through Friday and 24/7 on call. So he's bound to two terms, be there Monday through Friday and any other time we want. My problem with it was if neither person's there on Monday through Friday, you can't have a job description that says Monday through Friday, it just has to be on call.
Yep.
So I think it does need to be changed on
Yeah.
call.
Well, I don't know that we would want to change the job description to fit the occupant of the position.
Right.
Right, exactly.
If we're going to continue to do that, is what I'm saying, it has to fit. If we are going to agree, allow someone to be part-time on-call is really what it is. If they're going to be that way, it needs to say that, or we need to change the job, one of the two. I don't think you can have a job description different than what the person's doing. Does that make sense?
I would argue with that.
How was that?
I mean, a job description is you can make exceptions for job descriptions based on the current circumstances, I guess, of the position.
Well, then I think, why wouldn't you change the description, though, if the circumstances changed and they're consistent? It's not, I'm not talking badly of the
No, I
person,
understand.
please.
No.
I'm just saying, if it says Monday through Friday and 24/7, you should be there Monday through Friday. Or just say 24/7 as needed. You know what I'm saying? It's, otherwise, it's not fair to other departments. If you say, hey, this is a Monday through Friday job, that assumes that you are there Monday through Friday. So we have to eliminate that verbiage, I think, if we're gonna. Otherwise, everyone can just say, well, it says Monday through Friday, but I took Tuesday off.
Yeah, what I'll do is I will send you all the job description because it's up at the top where it has hours and it says
Yeah.
Monday through Friday.
Right.
And so, and then within the job description, it talks about on-call, 24/7, blah, blah, blah. And so that way you guys can have a real discussion about it. And then we'll see about going forward with the job classification subcommittee from the council, and then if we have to go forward. So I would think that it would be an easy change if we would just do on-call 24/7, whether or not you feel like you need office hours. I know Jason has a tendency to work definitely more than 35 hours a week. But that position itself, not the person, need to take a look at what do other counties have. So, but I will send you the job description that we have for this county.
And I think he has, I don't know if it's LaGrange County, one of the other counties has a similar situation as his, where they have two jobs. I think we need to look at that job description to see how they, like I said, I just want to be fair to all departments.
Yep. Yeah, Whitley County, definitely.
Is
I
it
think Amy
Whitley?
Biggs, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah.
Yep. So we will be back in touch, yeah. And then the only other thing, we had talked about, you guys and Larry, about the soffit and fascia on the canopy over the steps. One thing I have noticed is that on the, that really terrible slide that we have in front of the building, I know, nothing's going to happen with that right now, but there's been water dripping almost every morning that I walk down that. There's a puddle of, not a puddle, but it's, water. So that's a project that really needs, hopefully that's moving along, because I'm sure that there's more damage happening with the water seeping through. The other thing is that it was brought to Larry's and my attention. There are some cracks in the tile in the back hallways, right by the doors. And it's consistent on each floor. It's really interesting. I know that it's, some of them were there from the settling, I'm sure, but that building is from 1980s. You'd think that it's settled now, fine. But we are noticing some changes in the cracks. I actually took a penny and I was measuring it and took some pictures for Larry and told him where, how deep or how wide that they are. And also the stairs, some of the rails and things. So anyway, he's fully aware of that, and he's going to have a tile guy, quote unquote, come in and give us some ideas what maybe if there's anything that we can do. And it's not necessarily just cosmetic, but because of because it's widening, and we have some pieces of tile out of it, it could become a trip hazard, and that could be a work comp claim, or an incident with a citizen for some reason.
On
So,
every floor, it's the same way?
yep, yep.
Could that building be settling more? Bill? I mean,
Yeah, no, that's what I went.
considering Cedar Creek ran under it? I don't know.
Well, actually, there's a drain. I understand that there's water in the.
Tri-State Memorials with the back of the building falling off.
I know. We joked about that. And, the public defender has a bunch of their files down in they'd hate for that to go right down. And that was a joke. So anyway, we're just keeping you up to date on those sorts of things, just in case anybody would mention that to you.
Okay.
So that's all I have right now. You guys have anything?
Anybody? Anything for Dottie?
Nothing here.
Okay.
Guess
Great.
not. You're all
right.
set. Thank you,
Okay.
Dottie.
See ya.
Stay dry.
Got my umbrella.
Get your umbrella. Okay. Let's jump over into claims. So we had a small packet of claims, I guess.
Oh, oh, okay.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
And seconded.
A motion and a second. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Minutes. You get a chance to read the minutes? Any corrections or additions?
They're long.
They're long, huh?
They were long, a lot of typing there. What'd you find wrong with them, Bill?
I didn't find anything.
Well, since our ace proofreader approves them, I'm going to move to approve them.
Well, I gotta find something, hold on. I'll second.
A motion and a second to approve minutes. Or any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Minutes are approved. Okay, on to travel.
Reviewed them, make a motion to approve travel.
Second.
Motion and second to approve travel. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Travel is approved. Miscellaneous topics. Anything, anyone? Good.
Okay, So one of them, or the first thing I have here is the Light Source BP agreement that you guys approved last week, contingent on Jim's review. Are we there and ready for me to move forward with it, or?
Yeah, I think, I sent all of you a letter. I think I
Yeah.
copied you. I thought I copied you, Susan.
You did, but it made it sound like there was still more questions.
Was there,
Well-
I read a question about only allowing a certain part of the easement,
Yeah, Chris asked.
or Chris asked that question.
Yeah, Chris asked.
Can you
he's
read that
wondering
real
if-
quick?
Yeah, with that information, I'm wondering if the easement should be only the part of the property that will be that they will be utilizing instead of the whole parcel / right-of-way.
My feeling is that would be so hard to figure out. It's .063 acres. There's hardly anything to it. And
Okay.
they, Ben requested, and I think this was in my letter, Ben requested that I ask them to make certain that they located their area, that their equipment and stuff was and wiring, at what he called the back of the right-of-way, meaning the furthest from the highway surface. And they were fine with that. There was an issue of what happens if we or they need to enlarge it a little bit. And that's one of those things you can't figure those out. You just, both sides agree in good faith to work it out. And then the other issue was, what if they wanted to expand beyond that? Well, they'd have to go to the property owners for that. I mean, they've only got the little bit for where they are for us. So I'm fine with approving it.
Okay, so it's already approved. I just wanted to verify that I can move forward with it and send it. So I will take care of that.
Okay.
The next thing I have is, with Todd's help, I'm trying to get a title for that Ford pickup of Sunny Meadows. So I just need, we haven't done it yet, I need an official motion for you to sign your documents, and then I'm gonna have an officer do the inspection, and then I can send it in to get title to us before he can get.
Take a motion for Bill to sign the title application documents for the F-250 Ford.
A motion and a second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. I will sign.
Okay, so this very last one is not you, but all these other ones has a
Follow my
signature
notes.
place. Yep,
When the paperwork weighs as much as the car, it's legal.
It's legal and it's a big law firm, attorney who prepared it. I've had documents that I did the first draft and it was like 5 or 6 pages. And I get something back from a multi-lawyer law firm, that has 25 or 30, 40 pages. And it's so they can justify charging $600 an hour.
Yep.
Because some of it's just wrote stuff that doesn't even need to be in there.
Yep, I agree.
And you complain about my 5 or 6 pages.
Yeah.
okay, is there anything, this is Jim, is there anything, actually, it's not Jim, this is you guys. So the question we talked about briefly last week on cleaning out at Central Communications. Before Jim went further, he wanted the 3 of you to weigh in your feelings on the request, and I don't think any of you did that.
Well,
So do you know what it is?
Central, he asked to let one of the employees there at night clean it, I believe, twice a week. Or was it $450 a month? And I thought we should,
5,000 something a year.
yeah, I thought we ought to let others bid it too. We ought to put it for bid, A1, I mean, whoever. would like to bid it, maybe no one will bid it, no one will want it. But I have no problem with hiring someone to keep the building
And you
nice.
want to make sure, just as you talked about earlier in this meeting, it's a fee for service.
Yes.
And not on an hourly basis.
Not hourly rates, and, you know, that again goes in, I think if we do allow an employee to do that, we would also have to make the exception like we did for the coroner, if they, which is fine, but I think we ought to let it bid. I don't think it's fair to just award it to someone when there's companies out there that specialize in that, and
Is there any way that, I'm just asking because it would be nice for our paperwork. Is there any way that like a contractual agreement could be drawn up so we have something to attach to the claims when we're paying them?
I think that
I
could
mean,
be-
we normally have, like, we have agreements with attorneys so that we can pay through, because this won't be paid through payroll.
Yeah, I think that's not a problem once we do it, but let's
It's
get some
better.
bids. Yeah,
It's better if you do that because
Well, you really
it's
need-
further proof of fee for service.
You really need to do that because of the liability issues too.
sure.
Because if they're working under contract, it changes the dynamic of the liability.
That,
Right.
and another thing that scares me a little, is the employee that wants to clean it, which I'm not against, don't get me wrong, but do they have the proper insurance? They go and spill ammonia down a control panel or something and wipe out a $50,000 piece of equipment, who pays? And I would think that the contractor does, so I think they need to be insured for that purpose.
So Jim, you will handle whatever needs to be done?
Yeah, I'll need specific details that I may want to put in it, but yes. Because we also want to have clearly stated in there that that person is an independent contractor as it relates to the fee for services, just to have a paper trail
And insured.
and insured, yeah.
Put it out for quote.
I think so.
Okay, so one other thing, well, I guess I got confused.
Another problem you can run into, just not to extend this, but I want to make sure we got roped into this. If you pay someone as a contractor, you better make sure they really are a contractor, especially if they're an employee of yours, because the state wants all the SUDA, they want all the workman's comp, they want all that money flowing in, and we had part-time drivers that they could say no to us. They could say, hey, I don't want to drive today, and I couldn't make them drive, so I considered they were contractors. State came in and ripped us up, said, no, they're not using their own vehicle. They don't have insurance. And they said they're employees, and they made us pay 3 years back, just so you know.
They have to use their own equipment, they have to set their own hours, you can't tell them when to be there,
Right,
basically have any control
yeah.
over how they do the job.
Only thing you can say is,
So in our instance, then, the person would need to be bringing their own cleaning
Oh, yeah.
supplies?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, because I'm sure that's probably not understood at this point.
yeah, and that's a problem. It
It's got to
really,
be made clear too, like, 'cause that's part of the pay has to go towards that equipment.
yeah.
So when they're quoting this thing, they have to have that information.
Yeah, I just think it's important to do it right. I don't want a problem with the SB
Yeah.
State Board on this.
Right. And that same thing will need to be done for the highway department. Whether you change it now, because they've done a cleaning person for
Yeah,
years.
we need to look at that.
Or at least, once we get into the new place, get it all set.
Well, we probably ought to address that if I didn't realize that was happening, so,
Yeah, I didn't
That's happened for years.
okay. I'm still learning.
Okay, so I had an email, actually Jim sent an email to us all about the ACD museum objects, and
Yeah, I got that.
Mike said it's all taken
He's
care of.
coming over to pick them up, Larry knows about it, they're coordinating the time on that.
Okay,
I called that guy in January of '21, like 4 different voicemails I left him, and he never got back with me.
I remember that.
Yeah. So Larry and
Now all of
I,
a sudden it's a rush, huh?
yeah, apparently so. Larry and I looked in the case this morning and figured out which objects it was.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, then, let's see. Do we need to have any further discussion on the covered bridge, is it
Flowers.
plants, flowers, something? The emails going back and forth between, I mean, it's okay, you're all okay, we won't have to sign anything, and it's between them. Is that my agreement or my understanding?
But you're talking about,
Covered bridge flowers
Grant.
and soil and water, the small grant
yeah,
that was
I'm
requested.
I'm fine with that. I think I sent that out in an
Yeah,
email
yeah.
as well.
So I won't see anything, and I don't need to see
No.
anything,
No,
correct?
and it's better that you
Okay.
don't see anything.
That's all Mary and the crew
It's
there.
between her
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just
Which
making
is fine.
sure. Okay, the last thing I have is I wanted to make sure you all were able to see the email from Rise that was provided.
Okay, yeah,
That is all I have.
okay.
Any comments on Easter Seal Rise?
Well, they asked for 50K. Where were they at last year? Were they at 50 last year?
It's 40-something last year, 46, I think.
Let me
Because I kind of
log
wanted
in real
to,
quick.
whatever we were paying, divide it up and give equally to Rise and Alliance.
Alliance Industries.
I have a question about this first paragraph. During 2021, Easter Seal Rise provided weekly services to 110 people with disabilities in DeKalb County. Our agency operates with 29 full-time employees and 2 part-time. What is their total workload? Because are they saying that, I assume they're not saying there's 29 people working on these 110 people in DeKalb
No,
County.
they serve more than DeKalb County. They serve
I know
Steuben, Noble. I'm not sure about LaGrange.
When I read this, it seems like there's a lot of employees
Yeah.
for services to 110 people, but it doesn't actually explain that.
Couldn't hurt to have some clarification on those numbers.
They are at 34,000 for 22. What was in your budget for 2020?
Steuben, LaGrange, and DeKalb. And Noble's in there somewhere, yeah.
To be honest, I'm not real hip on raising any fees right now. You know, we're heading into some interesting times, and I hate to make big commitments. I think we're being fairly generous the way we are right now with everyone, in my opinion. So,
It was 34,
Yes.
and they're asking for 50.
yeah, because didn't we give 30 to Alliance?
No,
For 22 or for 23?
22.
I was thinking 15.
It was more than
It's more
that.
than that.
Is it more than that?
Yeah.
I would like to see Alliance, if anything gets bumped, I'd like to
Alliance,
see Alliance get bumped.
Alliance was only at 18.
18. Oh, it was
Okay.
closer.
So we're paying double, and they're wanting more than triple than we're paying Alliance. And they both do good work, don't get me wrong, but Alliance just impressed me so much. One thing, they've invited me there, I can see what's happening right in Garrett, right in DeKalb County, in the city of Garrett. These people have wonderful jobs. They're like a family in there. And I'd like to, like Mike, I would be more inclined to bump Alliance than I would be to increase.
You've got different people in charge now that's affiliated with Easter Seals, but in the past, somebody who was the director of it would come in and address the
Right.
commissioners every year, the Rise, I'm talking about.
They did last
now.
Yeah,
year.
she was here
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah, last year they were,
Crystal was last year,
yeah.
too.
So I,
But, yeah, I agree with,
I'm
yeah,
not-
I'd much rather see that extra, that they're requesting go to Alliance Industries.
Alliance reached out too and gave a presentation, then invited us all out too to see what they do, and I was impressed, so.
What do we need to do that?
So,
Put in the,
let me think here.
we've sent our request to council, right?
I just advertised, I could still make it work. If you guys want to change, I can still make it work.
Need to decide on amounts.
Yeah, you just need to
For
sign
direction
on
for
amounts sooner than later.
The difference is 16?
34 and 18. Now, are you leaving everybody else? I left everybody the same because you guys were going to talk about it. So,
Right.
So like the Rise, Humane Shelter, and I don't know if that changes since that fee-for-service thing. Alliance. Council on Aging. So there's Council on Aging at 48,000. Rise at 34, Humane Shelter at 50.
Alliance
And Alliance, yeah,
was 18.
18.
Yeah, well, we'll pull the Humane Society out of there since that is fee-for-service now.
Yeah.
20. So that's 100,000.
And you do, I don't know if this matters, you do like 3,000 to 4-H is all it says. So, I mean, you don't have to decide these numbers now, but I will want them before next Tuesday.
I'd like to talk about it brought against the clock now, but
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
if it was split in
I think we
third
need,
and a third and a third,
yeah,
I would support that.
yeah, I'd like to see more equity between those.
Well, that'd put Alliance at, if
We'll
we do
make
the,
further decisions later.
Yes.
we get a chance today.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll jump
sure.
back into
Yeah,
it.
whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay. Holly, Karen, whoever you are, come on up here.
So you don't look
We know
like
who
Howard.
you are. Good morning.
Holly sent Susan a thing that Butler City did an annex. They annexed 30.59 acres. It's agriculture at this time right now. Make my job easier. If you guys will sign it, then I can put Wilmington 4 into Wilmington 2. So if they decide to develop in that area, it's there. It's done.
So you're needing,
Did she give you the form to
Need our
sign?
approval for
Yeah,
that.
It's just to sign the order, the order to establish the precincts for
It was 30 acres, right?
30.59
Yeah,
acres.
yeah.
Right now, it's just agriculture, but it's 32 in State Road 1. There's a trailer park right there, so who's to say they're not going to build?
Oh,
back
yeah.
on?
It made sense.
And
from
this
what I
is,
read.
anytime there's an annex, it's a thing, a state requirement you have to do.
I have to. So right after, I will be able to do that.
Make a motion that we sign the order establishing the precincts for Butler.
Second.
a motion and a second. Are there additional comments?
You all three sign that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed the same. Motion carries.
You.
You're welcome.
I'll get it to you.
Have a good day.
Okay, that was quick. Now what do we do? Right back to East.
At 9:30, I have Jack coming. He wanted to come. Actually, I can just see if he's.
Well, I do have something if you want other
Brad?
miscellaneous. Dave Hauser called me from Humane. They have some buyers, or a buyer, interested in buying the property, and that buyer would tear it down also, tear down the building, which would save the Humane Shelter $20,000-$30,000. There's two ways to look at this. If the Humane Shelter tears it down and cleans up the property, I think we get more money for our property. Then again, we're partnered with the Humane Shelter. You know, we're just giving them money, then taking it back.
Yeah.
I for one think if it helps them and we get rid of the property for a fair value. Now, would we have to put that property up for appraisal? I assume we have to do that, don't we, since it is real property?
Yeah, it's the average of 2 appraisals
Yeah.
for anything that we get rid of.
Theoretically, yes.
So would it, like I said, I think it would appraise better as a clean sheet, just going forward if we're gonna bid it out for sale with the existing building standing, we're probably gonna get less money, but whatever you guys think. I don't care either way. I'd like to help the Humane Shelter if I can, but I want to do what's right with the taxpayers too.
Do you know who the buyer is?
Well,
You don't need to say it.
yeah, and I don't care who gets it, to be honest with you. He mentioned someone, but it doesn't matter. It has to go to appraisal, and I think we'd
Yes,
have to put it to
exactly.
bid.
I ran into Dave at the football game.
But it benefits,
And-
the thing is, it benefits the person wanting to buy it because they're into destructing demolition.
Yeah.
So,
I think I would favor just selling as is, you know.
with the building up, and
Yeah.
That's
and-
fine.
and-
that
'cause-
helps the Humane Shelter too.
Yeah.
It does, it
And-
does,
and
because if they've gotta do the cleanup, you know, we have to be careful with Humane doing the cleanup or anybody else, because I'm sure that lagoon is not something that should be there. And you want whoever's gonna take title to it to
Well,
assume any responsibilities for the lagoon.
lagoons were a bad attempt by the state to aerate a leach bed.
Yeah,
So,
And I'm not sure the gain is going to be that significant.
no, but I just want to be fair with the taxpayers, and it's Humane Shelter. The Humane Shelter's well-loved. I think people would understand, and
I do too.
let them, take the burden off them. They've got enough issues with the new building, so if that's okay with
And
you,
there's
I'll tell
always
them.
comes a time when they're going to run short of money. We're
Well,
hearing now all the humane shelters are running short of space, which has increased the cost.
Would this be fair compromise for them? Just say, hey, we're good with that if you guys pay for the appraisal on the property.
I think that would be very fair.
Save some 30 grand to pay, what's a commercial appraisal, 2 grand, 2,500?
Shouldn't be that much on that, maybe 1,000.
1,000, 1,200 probably.
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because there's nothing, I think that's a fair compromise, and I'm sure that board would be ecstatic over that.
Yeah,
Is that fair, guys?
I think so.
Okay with that.
Okay,
You want to
should-
do a motion to that effect?
Do we need a motion on that, Jim?
yeah, you should.
I'd make a motion that we allow the Humane Shelter to seek an appraisal on the property and to sell it as is.
Second that.
One maybe correction that the county sell
That
as
we
is.
sell it as is with the building standing, yes, yeah,
But they do
good
the
correction,
appraisal.
thank you.
Okay, we have motion and second on the floor. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you, Todd. I think that's a good resolution to that.
Yeah,
I was always kind of skeptical about them having to fund that. tear
yeah,
down.
I just hate to give them 50 grand and then they have to spend
Yeah.
30 of it to
There
rip
is a
down the building.
contract to that extent. Do we need to rescind that contract with the Humane Shelter that they tear that down at their expense?
Yeah, well.
Or does this override that?
I guess, you know, we'd have further insulation from any problems later on if we give them the authority to assign it.
Yeah, yeah, I think we should get their authority to assign the building to the property for sure.
Okay.
And then that way it covers them, covers us too.
Covers us a little better.
Not that they're gonna sue us for selling their building, but you never know, you know?
Well,
Stranger things.
make it all clear. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have Jack up, since he's here and waiting, and
Morning, Jack.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to come in. I'm asking for the commissioners to back us on a security situation for passwords. Right now, well, to be honest with you, we've been very lax for the past few years as far as enforcing certain things. As the whole cyber problem has come about, we're now forced to tighten things up a little bit. So what I'm asking is your support as we go through and make these changes. A couple of the changes will eliminate passwords that do not expire for the users. We do have some security groups that must have that enabled, but in the past, we've had users that were reluctant to change their passwords on a regular basis. So we're going to do away with that requirement. We're also going to tighten the passwords so they're at least 8 characters, 1 upper, 1 number, 1 special character, pretty much common stuff across the board anymore. People don't necessarily like change. And I'm expecting that we'll have some pushback on this from some departments. And that's why I come to the commissioners asking for your backing and support on this. It's very important that we go through and try to make things as secure as we can.
What you're asking for is just passwords to change on a
Regular basis.
regular basis, or
Right.
what about two-factor authentication?
We're in the process of working on that.
Okay.
Through our cybersecurity, there's a insurance policy. There's sort of a gray area in there. People in-house that wouldn't require MFA, but if you're doing a VPN or something like that, we've already talked to the city about implementing that. And there's multiple ways of doing it, either to your phone or through your email, just a variety of things like that. So that'd be coming on down the pike, but I really want to get this started September 1st and run with it.
Just to be clear, Jack, are you talking about voluntarily changing passwords, or
I'm sorry?
are you talking about voluntarily changing passwords, or have you got it set up where at some point you have to change your password
Oh, yeah.
when you log in?
It has to be that way.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, all right, good.
Mandatory.
Yeah,
Yeah, because if we just
Yeah.
say, well, go ahead and do it if you feel like it.
Yeah.
Right.
Alright.
It'll never get
It'll
done.
never get done.
Because I'm one of them that won't do it.
Yeah,
I'll admit it. I'll forget. I forget. you know?
Guilty.
yeah. Well,
absolutely support that.
yeah, and like I said, I've been here since 2003, and it's sort of always been that way. And this day of age, we can't do it.
Can do that.
Too much
And you'll be
risk.
everyone's notified. The good part about the package that we're using is you'll get a notification starting 7 days before through your email saying it's time to go through, and there'll be a link within the email that you can click on and say, change my password now. So, and then in addition to that, three failed attempts will lock your account out for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just standard things. We looked at a variety of other options, and I think we've got a nice mix here of at least getting started. So
Well, it might be helpful too, and to let the staff know. I mean, there's a half a dozen secure password managers
yeah,
that don't cost a penny. You don't have to remember all the passwords
right. So
once you're recorded, and they're just on your local computers.
yeah, we've got a key pass available to anybody that wants to use it. This will all come out in an email once I get your approval, and with suggestions on that too.
You sure it would be nice if there was a standard password, like some sites, no special characters allowed, or only these, and, you know, well, it should be nice if there was a standard.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of it, guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think we need a
You get,
motion on that, though. It's just
You
an
can
agreement.
just have it in the minutes. Jack has the authority to explore and to develop a new password protocol.
Okay.
It's fine.
Absolutely.
Good, Bill?
um,
Good, Bill?
yes, sir.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack.
Have a good day, Jack.
Okay. We've still got a half hour to break. I thought it was going to be a busy day. What was I
I did
thinking?
too.
What else we got? Todd, Mike?
I still have these questionnaire that we sent to the employees. I didn't know if you wanted to go through any or do that a different time, or as far as the work conditions and the survey, and
We could go through them, I mean, I guess.
I don't know, they took the time to fill them out. If we don't have anything to do at this moment, I'm happy to go through. But if you're not prepared, if you don't have a copy, I understand, and we can do it at some other time. The
Survey.
employee survey results.
Oh,
I don't have a copy with me, but
I can get a copy.
I had to print them because I read much better off of paper than I do the computer. I don't know, it's just, I guess it's because I went to school in the 70s.
Because you're getting older.
Yeah. Computers back then went beep when you hit them. Beep. That's all
I
they did.
print-
Well,
I print
you
everything.
need a copy? You
I'm
don't,
sorry.
you don't
I don't
need a copy? You need a copy?
I've got mine here.
I think we could at least address the bar graph and stuff
Yeah,
and talk about
sure,
that and then
yeah.
lead into individuals if you wanted to.
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we
I
owe,
mean, we definitely need to address this and not, you know,
Yeah.
at least show some action.
yeah. A hot second?
Hot second. While they're printing, I just saw this in my stack. Do we know any more who we're waiting on for the County Road 60 to go to St. Joe?
Oh, St. Joe?
You guys done any work on your capital improvement plan? I see that laugh.
Yeah, we intend to improve the capital.
Have you finished the first draft to suggest to the commissioners what you need in it?
Yeah, and I explained, but I can do it.
No, I
Do more.
was just,
I'm working on several closely related things.
I was just looking to see what all we had. All our pending
To your plan.
issues.
We could discuss that maybe too.
By the way, has anyone seen that F-250 out in Sunny Meadows? That one she's getting the title for? It's the F-250 that you,
Yeah.
it's they're just sitting there rotting away. The bumper's gone in the rear, and I'm not sure they ever did anything with it. Do we know why we bought that?
Where's
To
that
plow
sitting?
snow?
Whereabouts is it sitting?
All the way in the back, facing the field. So it's
To the
like,
north?
it faces north. The front of the car is pointing north, or the truck, and next to it's the Pacifica, which I'll have hauled away. You did ask him to throw the keys in the Pacifica, right?
I did, they're there.
Order?
Mister,
Order in the courts.
did you sign
I
it?
don't know.
Right here.
See,
You did not.
you know what, you gotta watch me. You're on top of it.
Thank you.
But I think though we can save the F-250 and get decent money out of it. I
Do you?
want to put a new bumper on the rear and, because it is a 250 and it is a 4x4. If it runs good,
Well,
someone will buy it.
nowadays, yeah,
Yeah.
it's gotta be worth.
Anyway, I'm on top of that. Just wanted to
Okay.
know.
Appreciate
Okay.
that.
So here we are. Where do you want to start on this? Right at the top there, the work week?
Yeah, might as well start with the work week.
So we know what this says here. More than 75 people said they want no change. Second favorite, third favorite. So the majority want no change, and the folks I talked to, no one wanted a change from 35 hours, but they did want the ability to work more hours if needed to complete a project, and I think that's just common sense.
Well, I think so too.
If you're a department head and you need someone, me and Mike had this discussion, that someone's water heater goes out, they'd like an extra 2 or 3 hours a week to help pay for it, and the department head isn't getting their work done,
They need the time.
they need the time,
Question. Department head comes to us and said, well, we are becoming overloaded. We need a part-time person to pick up some slack. Can we require that they fill that with hours on present employees or attempt to at least? I mean, how do we grant?
Attempt to, yes, I'm hesitant to mandate it, but I think it's perfectly appropriate to say, ask your current staff if they'd like to work
Yeah,
because
the
they're,
extra hours. And that's a conversation Todd and I had. I've been managing people for 50 years, and I've never had anybody refuse if I said, hey, we're in a bind, we need some extra hours, can you give me some extra time? I mean, I can't think of a single instance where I've ever had that happen. So I would assume we have the same kind of cooperative attitude here.
yeah. I mean, I don't think it's out of line to ask folks to do it too. If certain people have single mom, someone watching their child, they can't work anymore. They have to, I get that. I don't want to cause any hardship for anyone, but I know there's one or two people in each office that would say, hey, bring on that extra hours.
and that same single mom may have a mom that babysits the child and she can
That's
really
true.
use that extra money.
Yeah, and that's
She
true.
might
And
jump
maybe,
on, so it can, it just depends on
and maybe
family
the single
circumstances.
mom would want that.
Right.
I'm just saying I don't want to cause a hardship
Yeah.
for people that,
By
know.
requirement,
Yeah.
if you get off at 4:30, and you have to pick your kid up at the after-school thing before 5 o'clock, it's
Yeah.
hard to work extra.
so the consensus was, in my opinion, that no one wanted their hours really changed. A few people in the survey says, I'd love 10-hour 4-day. Most people have said, nah, I don't want any part of that. So I think we should take the position, keep the 35, and tell the department heads we need more help, start asking early. You know when your times are gonna get busy, just ask early and say, who wants to work
That
extra?
could be discussed at our meeting with the department heads,
Yeah.
surely.
Yeah, and that's a good discussion to have, because that was,
Yeah.
so that's my position there. That center response. The second thing here, rank the importance of the following. That's, that's a loaded question. Of course, all things are important. It's hard to put one ahead of the other, but notice the health insurance affordability. The majority of the employees said that was their major concern.
Tied with communication, though, which I thought was an interesting and very
Yes.
telling answer.
Yes, and that's the two things I heard. People are worried about their costs rising faster than their paycheck, which I agree. It's on the news every day too, And Mike hit it on the head. A lot of people feel as though they don't have communication, not necessarily with us, but maybe even with their department head or coworkers or training. Training was a big issue when I talked to people. They don't feel as though they're being properly trained. Well, that's going to have to be maybe a discussion with the department heads. how can we equip you to help train your employees better, that they feel confident in their job? So those were the two big things I heard, was communication and training was lacking, and the health insurance.
I think maybe one thing that hinders that training process possibly, and this is just an assumption, that seems how the department heads are termed out every 8 years, they spend a good part of that time training themselves or being trained.
I'm still
Learning
learning.
this new job.
Yeah.
And then in, 4 to 6 years later, they're gone. So they start all over again.
Yeah.
And it just seems like an odd way to run a business,
Well,
is to rotate people in and out.
A horribly inefficient way to run business, and I'm fairly confident in saying that there's a growing interest in the State House to address some of those issues of how county government is structured.
We have an 1870 method of doing government when it was horse and buggy and no phones and,
Yeah.
Yeah, most of those positions should be appointed
yes.
rather than elected because of the competence and skill levels that you need to do those jobs. And I mean, far too often, elections are popularity contests or
Yeah,
name recognition or whatever.
whatever.
And, instead of a horizontal chain of command, that what we have is in county government now, it needs to be.
Yeah. No one, Mike made a perfect point. No one's in charge in county government. We're not in charge.
No,
Here's the building. What do you want us to provide for you?
yeah,
Yeah, no, we're really not. We write ordinances and we can control the department heads we appoint,
Yeah.
but we're not in charge, which is fine, other than there's the communication again. The guards go up. You know what? And we need to, it's unfortunate.
too many turf wars,
Yeah.
basic, kind of.
Yeah, and, there's, you can mitigate some of those things with the communication and trying to compromise and find common ground to work with and get cooperation. But I mean,
Right.
basically, at the next election, that can all go south and.
Exactly.
And so,
That's the problem.
yeah.
And the third, can I move on to the third group here? Is that- how satisfied are you with the following? Notice the benefits offered by DeKalb County was neutrally satisfied. I actually found that to be encouraging. The work hours, they found very satisfied, again, embracing that top one there. Work-life balance, that's kind of the same thing. Value do you feel at work? I expected that to be kind of down the line, just your current job, if you look, most people are pretty satisfied with their current job.
Yeah, which makes me question a little bit how that interpretation of how valued do you feel
Yeah.
really fits in, because those two things are pretty closely related.
Yeah. Resources needed to do your job successfully. Again, I think training is a bigger issue. I think we always get the right equipment. In other words, we're pretty good about giving departments equipment as they need it, and it don't matter what department it is.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty normal. I didn't see anything out of line in that last survey question. I expected that.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to comment on this very first question. I assume you have in the order I do, it's where it says your comments are welcome, and then right below it reads, I believe. Are we on that?
Yeah.
I believe the county should work to recognize some departments require high skill sets and should pay those positions more according to the private sector and have quality employees. I pretty much agree with that, other than the private sector. We're not private sector. We don't operate like private sector. You can't even compare the two. We have to price these jobs what the market is for government. In other words, if we're not getting employees, we're obviously too low or we're not doing something right. If we're getting a bunch of applications, we've, you know, it has to be the market. But I agree wholeheartedly. We need to start recognizing certain jobs are different, even amongst counties. One department can be completely different. Whatever office is may have different skill sets or different needs for that department. While WIS is a good baseline, maybe, I don't think it takes into account individual performance. It doesn't take individual performance in account at all, and that bothers me. Because there are some people that are superstars. You know, I can see in a department head saying, you know what? That person makes 22 and they should make 30. That person makes 22 and they shouldn't work here. You know, and that's completely out of, that's not even talked about is individual performance, and that's bothersome to me.
Yeah, and you know, really to have a study that is relevant to DeKalb County, you've got to have more subjective evaluation of all those positions. You know, WIS's point system is just based on this is what you do, but it doesn't, I don't believe, take as much account of the skill sets that are required or the job responsibilities into account as they should. And there are, and Baker Tilly is one. They do the real meat and potatoes kind of wage studies that I think would be valuable for the county to do. You know, whether the council can be persuaded to do that, I don't know, but I think it would be money well spent.
Well, I do know this, we're gonna lose, and I don't wanna name departments, but we're gonna lose 2, probably 3 really good employees here in the next year, and there is no way you're gonna replace the quality of that employee with what it's being paid right now. I don't care what WIS says. I've watched them in action. I've seen their workload.
Yeah.
Isn't even close. It's, I'm gonna say they're $5 to $6 an hour underpaid minimum for what they do. And so I don't put a whole lot of value in WIS's study. For a baseline, I do. Past that,
yeah.
Here's what averages in other counties are, here's where you are, here's median, I get that. But you really don't know the job description until you watch the person in action and what their load is. So I think that's something, again, you know, we need to look at that individually. Going back down, though, to that 5th question, I feel as an employee, the commissioners not fully understand their work. You know what? Probably agree with them. That's, again, we need to dig in and value most of the time. And there, then they go to say, I don't believe a 8-hour workday would benefit them. And they want more pay for health insurance. But then right below it, someone says, need to work a full 8 hours. Pay isn't overly competitive enough. In other words, I'm not working enough. And there was our talk about, there's a person that would be a person say, hey, I'll take the extra hours.
Sure. You know, and that's a situation you get with anytime you do a general survey like this.
Yeah.
You know, it's difficult. Well, it's impossible to specifically address individual comments and concerns. You have to look at the big picture, look for trends, look for commonality in the comments, and find ways to address the big picture, at least as a way to get things started. Because you're always going to get both sides of the spectrum, and you know, a few on both ends, and most somewhere in the middle range.
You're going to get those exaggerations, of course,
Yeah.
because it's free.
Yeah.
They get a free pass, you know, they
Yeah.
can say whatever.
And that's why I
there's
had-
always those negative personalities that they go to the negative side, of course, and they blow it up out of proportion.
Well, you
a
know
good many
what?
times.
And, you know, and some department heads have made some tough choices to terminate people. You know, Ben Parker's way short on drivers, but he wasn't afraid to remove the toxicity out of his department. And kind comment about the 8th question down there. Benefits should be getting better, not worse. PTO was a poor decision, and we should go to the European model. Well, you know,
That's where you work 4 months out of the year in Europe.
see, that is an extreme.
After
that-
lunch siesta.
If we're going there, that's socialism.
Yeah.
And that's an extreme. So I see what they're saying, but PTO was a good decision because you can take it whenever you want for whatever reason. You don't have to tell me, hey, I'm going to the doctor. You don't have to lie to me, just go.
When it comes to workload and bookkeeping, that was probably one of the best
Oh.
decisions we could have made.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it was just a no-brainer.
Some people don't understand the question below it. Says here, blood work is very expensive. I think we have free labs with our new insurance. I don't know what all it, but I think what folks need to understand their insurance a little better, and maybe it needs explained better. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and I wonder, just based on that, on the low ranking of benefits in general, if we're really doing a good enough job of explaining
I don't think we are.
what all the benefits are. I mean, if you go down the line and you look at the short-term disability and the life insurance and the health insurance and what, I'll bet you that maybe 1 in 10 of the team actually knows what the county's portion of their health insurance is.
Yeah, probably not.
What that expense is. So, I think that's one area that we can address almost immediately is to communicate what what those benefits really involve.
Because that was here towards the bottom of this page, my answer for benefits would have been very satisfied, but I felt we took a step backwards with our current insurance. I have a family in the private sector with better insurance and employer contribution. Well, how is it better? Again, we don't have details, but we are paying 75% of the insurance. And, let's face it, the prices go up, and it's unfortunate. But I think our insurance, I've never had this good of insurance in my life. I'm ecstatic over it, but I'm used to having none or very limited, so. Second page, do you want to keep that? Just cut me off when you want me to, Bill.
Yeah, we'll go ahead to break.
Let's see here.
I did see on the bottom of that first page,
Yes.
I'd love to see the 10-hour workday.
Yeah.
4 days a week. So, it's all over.
You're all over. I'm sure there's
Yeah, there's going to be
a lot
some.
of people that would.
Yeah.
Well, there was at least about 25 people who thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
It's third question down on the second page. Again, these are issues we can't handle, but they say, hey, the current work week, again, allows flexibility. They're happy about that. I feel very valued by my specific office staff, but not by county government or the general public. Well, when you take this job, the general public, you know that they're here to yell at you because you're the bad person that takes their money and you have to deal with them. You can't expect people to love you. But how are we not appreciating them? Again, I've reached out, would you like to talk? And I had some good responses and conversations, but I was underwhelmed. I only talked to four groups, and I've gotten a request from Sheriff's Department for an interview. Other than that, there was talk too that, I don't know which question it was, but I want to tie that in, that we don't pay as much as other counties, and that's not true. We pay more than most counties on average in the local area, but there's certain jobs, again, that are misclassified. They're not even close. So, they talk about the bottom line money. I only get X amount bottom line. Well, I get that. If you take what you work times 35, that's an amount, and then the deductions,
Yeah.
I get their pain, but again, it's just is what it is. Oh, yeah, because on the next page, it talks about nationwide, we pay less than the private sector. Well, New York City, I'm sorry, but
Can't
an
go.
apartment there is $4,000 a month, so you're gonna make more.
I think if you took a regional look at that, like the 11 county region, I'm sure that we're probably above average.
We are, if you look at the stats. This comment I really liked, if an employee chooses to waive health insurance benefits, which saves the county money, why wouldn't you offer a pay increase to those employees who make that choice? 100% in agreement. I'd love to work out something like that. Or a new self-insured plan where the insurance is just free, no charge. I hate to use the term free because never free, but no charge to the employee. So
No upfront.
no upfront cost, just a shared,
Yeah, just a shared.
yeah, with a cap. And so, but if we continue with that, I'd love to work something like that in, which we'd have to work with council. I think it'd be a great way to get some young folks in that want to roll the dice and don't care about insurance, or if someone's spouse has insurance, boy, that person would love that. Nice little bonus at the end of the year of maybe 10% of their salary, but. That's enough for now, I'm good. We can continue on this later, or whatever you want to do. Okay.
One point.
Go ahead, Mike.
Was this comment about recognition for years of service, which I think is part and parcel of feeling recognized and appreciated in your job, particularly given the labor market now and the value of experience in a particular job. I think we could do a better job of recognizing years of service milestones, whether that's every 5 years or so. The city does it, and I talked to Patty Miller about it. They pay for it, and State Board of Accounts doesn't give them any kind of grief. It's not. It's not a huge amount for it's not a printed certificate. They give them an acrylic thing that the trophy place out there does, and I'm a proponent of longevity pay or longevity bonuses too. I think those are valuable.
Compensation. In general, there are considerations that the county would need to make when giving any kind of incentive or reward in addition to salary. There should be a policy established by the governing board providing incentives, rewards as employee recognition or employee prizes. The county should consult the IRS to determine any tax reporting requirements for additional compensation of employees. Proper internal control should be established, and then they just gave me a chapter out of my manual.
I've always found that if you just take out all the FICA, take out all the proper taxes, you have no problem with, from a tax standpoint. And that's what the federal government's worried about, is make sure they get their money. They could,
My general thought, just from a broad standpoint, is our team members are the most valuable asset we've got. If we don't have them and we don't have good people in those positions,
That's right.
The county doesn't run. They're more valuable than any building we've got.
Yep.
We don't hesitate to say, well, we got to replace the soffit and the facing on the annex building, but we quibble about longevity pay or some of these other recognition things for the team members. And I think that we need to take a real hard look at what how we approach that situation.
Yeah. I'm not as big a fan on longevity pay as I am individual performance, but those two a lot of times go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So again, I think individual important. But one good comment here was, working 35 hours per week with full-time benefit is a huge benefit, along with flexibility in my position, and the reason why I'm still here after 20 years. So there are some folks that do appreciate and understand what, and again, that's why you cannot compare this job to private sector. It's 42 hours in the private sector average, 6 paid holidays. You can't compare the two, so,
And that's something that we talk about communication, that
yes.
some people, maybe they don't realize that.
Well, how does the department head start the discussion when they talk wages? Do they go and say, yeah, you're being screwed and I'm gonna go to bat for you, but
Yeah.
those jerks won't give you anything probably? Or are they saying, hey, let's look at the good to start with? Now, I'm gonna go to bat because I think you're maybe a little underpaid here, but overall, you got a good job and I love our team. Is it that team building to start, or is it they're the bad guys and I'm gonna squeeze them for everything I can get?
Something else you brought up, job security.
Job security is a
Job
huge
security.
one.
I mean,
And everyone I talked to did say that. They said, I love the idea that, because one of them, their spouse lost their job in '09 and they almost lost their house because that was their county pay that kept them from losing their house.
Let's take a break for pledge.
All right?
That was last week, right? You're up, Bill.
Am I up?
You're up. You know the words, you need me to write them down for you. Be like Christmas,
It's been
Christmas vacation.
It's been 3 weeks. I forget it.
Yeah. Remember Christmas vacation? She says grace. Play ball.